Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Aliens Space Marine Drake figure, which is one that I have no idea if people were interested in or not. I don't know anything about this subset of characters that NECA is releasing other than they are releasing them, so I assume people are buying them. You guys can let me know in the comment section below what you think about that. It is, in some ways, a really, really good figure, and in other ways, we have a few relatively severe issues we have to talk about, so this will be an informative review. If you are on the fence about buying it, this will help you decide. But there are definitely some really nice things about this guy, so let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 7¼ inches, give or take. I do have him spread out a little bit, so he could hit 7¼ probably, which makes him pretty close to, let's just say 18½ centimeters. These are always just general measurements. I couldn't think of the word. Because it doesn't matter technically how tall it is exactly, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with, and this is in the true 7-inch NECA scale that we're used to. Now, the first thing we have to talk about is the aesthetic. And this guy does a few things exceptionally well. The first of which is that he is a nice matte finish just about everywhere. It is so welcomed, not welcoming. It's so welcomed on a collectible to not be glossy and shiny and plastic looking. This looks like a little person. I like that. Little person, probably not the right term. Well, you get what I'm saying. Everything except for the metallics is a nice flat finish. It looks really, really good. I wouldn't mind a sprinkling of gloss like for up here for whatever that thing is. It looks like a lens, maybe on some buckles and things, but still, it does look really, really good. As far as the paint job for the pants, the camo is really clean. I don't know what's up with the poppy seeds. Maybe that's what it's supposed to look like, but even still, it's nice and clean. That looks good. The paintwork on the bullets and grenades and things, that all looks really good. The head paint is really nice. It matches NECA's style perfectly. No problems there. The only paint issue that really stands out to me is the shading on the arm, which at first glance looks awesome, but it's kind of just a stripe. It doesn't really hit the right spot here, and it goes down on the bicep. Again, it's not a huge deal. This one's a stripe as well, but it's a little bit more centered. It's fine. It's probably better than not having it, because at first glance, and if you're not too close, you're not going to notice that it's not quite right. So that looks okay to me. Now, we do have one issue, aesthetically speaking, with the head. I've noticed some people say it looks really good, and other people say it doesn't look very good. And the reason for that is, technically, the sculpt is really, really nice. There's lots of detail in there. The paintwork is fairly clean. The downside is he's supposed to be making like a grimacy face, like he's angry. And the way his eyes are, they're kind of too wide and kind of startled looking, so it gives him a little bit of an odd face. It almost looks like he's grossed out or scared rather than angry and brow furrowed. Here, let's look at this. This gives a perfect example. This guy looks mad. That guy looks maybe like he's taking a dump, but he looks mad. This guy doesn't have quite as angry a look. So that's the thing that's throwing some people off, and that's a valid argument. I'll let you decide how you feel about that. A lot of people probably wouldn't even notice it and just appreciate the details, so I'll leave it at that. So as far as the aesthetics go on this guy, I will give him a 9. That flat finish just really seals the deal for me. I love it. Looks really, really good overall. That's going to be a nice looking piece on your shelf. Now, as far as accessories go, we have two things that I have to mention first. One is he comes with a comic. Not really an accessory, so we're going to set that aside. Second thing is he comes with a little sticker sheet which you can use to decorate him or his gun, which it says right on there, decorate figure and weapon with labels. I'm not a big fan of labels personally, but you do have that, so that's pretty cool. You can customize your figure a little bit. Now, as far as other accessories go, kind of. And I say kind of because this piece right here is permanently connected to this, which is permanently connected to this. So the whole main apparatus here not coming off of the figure, he will be holding the gun. And so it's not really an accessory. This piece is a separate piece, which you have to peg in back here, so you can count that as an accessory. And I don't know what the deal is exactly with that, because this piece that pegs in here has hinges on it, and this one, this little chunk, this guy right here, is the exact same piece as this, and this, whether it's supposed to or not, for mine it came right off. This piece right here comes off, and this can peg in there, but as you can see, they don't quite line up. Now you can rotate this, but it still doesn't work. These are hinged. I still couldn't get it to line up, so I don't know if that's supposed to peg into there or what. I don't know what's going on with this whole situation. The fact that this is connected to him and was in the package separate, obviously because he can't be posed like this, it scared the poops out of me because I thought for sure it was going to break as I was removing it. Please be super duper extra careful as you're removing this guy from the package. The other thing that is potentially considered an accessory is this right here, which just slides on the front of the gun. So that's like your regular crazy looking gun from Aliens, and this is your alternate piece, which gives him a couple of different knives that connect on there. And if you don't want to put them there, they do peg in back here. And so that's pretty cool. I guess that counts as an accessory. But the rest of this, even though it's a gun and he's a person, so you would assume the gun is an accessory, not really. He's gonna be holding this gun no matter what. And so that's definitely an issue for me. But as far as accessories go, I'll give it, I don't know how to rate it, a 6 or a 7. I'm kind of not liking the fact that it's permanently connected to him, that you have to have him holding it. It might as well be a statue in some respects. So that does bug me a little bit. On the other hand, he does kind of have a lot of stuff. So you can decide how you feel about that. I don't know. That's a personal type of thing. You have to decide. But it does affect the articulation because, frankly speaking, other than moving the head a little bit and adjusting his stance, this is how this figure is going to be posed for you, which is fine because I imagine that's how most people are going to pose him anyway. But because of that gun being there permanently, you're gonna have to pose him like this. He doesn't have alternate hands, so he would look silly if he wasn't holding the gun anyway. But realistically speaking, the articulation doesn't matter. I'm gonna go over it, but this is a very odd release, and that's kind of why I said there's some good and some bad about this guy. So what I'm gonna do is very carefully remove this from his hands so that we can go over some of the articulation, and I'm gonna hope that I don't break anything because this type of plastic is terribly brittle. Why is that not coming out of his hand now? There we go. It's terribly brittle. You get nice hard edges in a clean sculpt, but it is very brittle. And we're gonna pop this off. That pegs into his belt, so it's kind of a hassle. Okay, there we go. So, as far as articulation goes, the head is on a ball peg and it moves around wonderfully because ball pegs are the best way to articulate heads. That is very nice. You can definitely pose his head however you want, within reason. Shoulders are the same on both sides. This obviously does give some limitation, even though it's a soft piece of plastic, but let's see what kind of range we get. Not too bad. Just about horizontal. That's pretty good. Obviously, you have your full rotation. That's fine. No bicep swivel. You get that out of this swivel hinge at the elbow. I have trouble on this guy bending that elbow, and I don't want to force it because those pegs are known for breaking. So that's very tricky. Be careful with that. Let me try it on this side. This side bends no problem. A little bit better than 90, so that's okay. That's not too bad. And then the wrists are just ball pegs with a limited range. Now, for the torso, we have a single ball peg down here in that gap that you can see, which is a terribly obvious gap. This, I'm guessing, is supposed to hide it, but the best you can do is set it on top. It doesn't reach far enough down and it's glued in back here that it's very difficult to hide that gap, other than to just set it there and don't touch it. So be aware of that, but that gap does allow a little bit of rotation and a little bit of wobbly leaning. He's just wobbly though. This joint up here, I cannot make it move. I'm assuming it's a joint because it looks like a diaphragm joint, but I cannot make it do anything. And this is glued at the top here, and maybe they got some glue in there, I don't know. So be aware of that. I can't get it to move, maybe you'll be able to. Now for the hips, we do have this situation again, which is all too common. They are very floppy. We have our hinge that goes out to the side, which is perfectly good. We have splits that are awesome. If you really want them to do the splits, you can do that. You have your thigh swivel, that is fine. You can bring the legs forward. The diaper is very flexible, so it just squishes in and that's fine. Full range there, that's actually really good. Bringing the leg back, obviously you're gonna spread the cheeks a little bit. Probably not the right terminology there, but you get the idea. The diaper will impede that, but you do get decent range. Is it the best looking hip setup and diaper setup ever? Probably not, but it is fairly functional aside from the looseness. Luckily, the looseness is fairly minimal. You can see that's the extent of the looseness. So you can probably work around it, but I am getting really tired of loose hips. For the knees, standard swivel hinge, so not quite 90 degrees. Not going to be the most posable, but they do look good, so that's okay. Pretty standard fare for NECA. And then lastly, whoops, we have a ball peg for the ankle. They have decent range. I don't know why that one popped off. This one, I didn't notice it popping off earlier. Is this one popping off too? That foot's just popping off. You have decent range. They're good enough. And this one's nice and solid. This one felt solid, and now it's fairly loose. So maybe that's a mismold. I don't know. If anybody has this, let me know if it's loose for you. I don't know why that's popping off. Like, it's not floppy. Maybe there's just like a little bit of flashing in there or something. So I'll chalk that up as to being just on mine and probably not a universal issue. But as you can see, the articulation, it's fine for the most part, in most cases. But like I said, you're really not going to be able to use it for much of anything. So I'll give the articulation a 6. Having the gun permanently connected to him and having a few things that just don't function, definitely knock it down a little bit. But to put him in a gun using pose like this, you're gonna be just fine, and I think that's what most people are gonna do. So let's go ahead and do a final verdict on this guy. Very interesting figure in some respects. Looks really good. Has some very strange choices as far as what you're gonna be able to do with it. It is an action figure after all, but you have very little agency in how you're gonna display it. So I don't know. I guess you're going to have to decide for yourself how you feel about that. How I feel about that is this figure gets a 7. In some ways, it's awesome. In other ways, it's not awesome at all. So it's just going to balance out to an average, decent figure. How's that sound? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos out just about every single day. And for the days I don't, I've got thousands and thousands of videos just waiting for you. Lots of content here, so come back for all that good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.